Hi, I'm Jen Petrie. I'm the industry lead at Sitecore Middle East and Africa. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by the lovely Jessica Abouzeid, Head of Marketing at EssilorLuxottica, Middle East, Turkey and Africa. Welcome. EssilorLuxottica is a global leader in the design, manufacture and distribution of ophthalmic lenses, frames and sunglasses, with a vision of bringing life-changing benefits of vision correction and protection to everybody. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks so much for being here. I think it's lovely to have you back in the studio. I firstly wanted to start by asking you a little bit about your experience in the region and what led you to EssilorLuxottica here.
So I like to say that I'm an EssilorLuxottica baby. So it's the company that I've been in for the longest time. It actually is the company where I started my career. So I started as an intern in Italy. I was still in grad school, and I'm still here today. So it's been 12 years now.
And there must be something keeping you at EssilorLuxottica. Tell me a bit about what you do there and how that's changed since you started. I imagine there's quite a journey from being a grad to where you are today.
Yeah. So, I mean, what has kept me in the company for so long is that it's definitely an exciting place to work in. And there has always been something new coming in. And this started from back when I was working as an intern in Milan in the headquarters to today, where now we became a bigger group, EssilorLuxottica. So it's been ever changing and ever evolving, always something new to work on or to learn. So I think that's my passion, and that's why I'm still here today.
Amazing. And I think we were talking previously, just before it started, about how it's both B2B and B2C, and you're doing everything all in one from a marketing perspective.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's new for me. We, as the former company I was working for, Luxottica, was mainly a brand-driven company, brands that you guys all are, I'm sure, aware of. So in the eyewear industry, such as RayBan or Oakley, and a lot of distribution brands. We obviously dealt a lot with B2B, but it's a completely different ballgame when we joined forces with Essilor, because here we're mainly talking about lenses or ophthalmic lenses or instruments, and this is a really B2B led industry. So I'm learning the ropes in that sense, but it's fascinating, and it really completes the full journey of a consumer that goes for a vision correction need from the lens to the frame, but also let's say the diagnostic part with the instrument. So it's the full journey in full circle. So it's quite nice to be part of it.
There's certainly a lot to the role doing both of those and learning on the job as well. Mm-hmm. In this so far, what have you found the sort of major differences between B2B and B2C marketing?
So let's say that the touch points are very different, and therefore also the tools that we're using are quite different. So when we're talking about lenses, it is very rare, especially in our region where there's also less awareness, for a consumer to go in and ask for a certain lens or a certain branded lens. So it's really the ophthalmologist or the optometrist inside the store that is going to lead that decision-making process for you. And you might leave the shop not even knowing what brand you bought. So the influencing factor here really is that medical referent, and how do you reach them is going to be very different than how you reach a consumer. Then we're also trying to change that and also targeting the consumer to make them more aware of their eye health and what our brands can bring to the table in terms of technology, etc. So we're trying to mix it up, but for sure the tools are first and foremost aimed at that medical class.
And I guess with that, there's different content needs, different frequencies of the content that you're delivering.
100%. I mean, we are on the frame side and lens side, both very much driven by innovation and technology, but this is even more visible when you're talking about lenses. At the end of the day, it's a piece of plastic. So to the naked eye. So how do you transmit all the technology that is going through that into the lens is definitely through the content creation. And what we mainly do in that sense is our learning and development content. So through a really wonderful platform called Leonardo. And so on that, all the people who are working inside the stores or any of the people we collaborate with have access to that content and that training. So it's extremely important because you can't convey what is inside the lens just through a static a visual, right? So you really need to have dynamic content. And quite frequently, obviously, you have when you have that need, it's not something that you are looking for only one time. If you have a visual correction need, so you need to know what's the technology or what's new. So that content needs to be updated. So this is really a B2B platform, but then inside the store, you also need to explain to your consumer what is inside that lens. So definitely content there also plays a big role. And I'm sure you've noticed in the region, the stores are becoming much more digitalized.
Yeah.
So
first ever fully digital store, I think I saw in Dubai Hills Mall the other day with your little iPads when you walk in, and I haven't tried it out yet. I need to go and do that because I'm really interested to see how that works, actually.
No, it's great. I mean, you need to obviously train the consumer and the staff in order to be able to use these tools. But at the end of the day, it doesn't make a great difference in the experience and also the knowledge of those selling and buying these products.
We've certainly seen that from a Sitecore perspective, actually, around how consumers are much more informed now before making the decision. Previously, you'd go in and you'd speak to whether it's the optician in this case or whether it's somebody else about what you needed, especially with something as technical as eyewear and what's right for you, what your prescription may be, what type of lens you need. You wouldn't go in informed. Now the consumer is much more informed and there's so many different data points and touch points. So I imagine for yourselves, and correct me if any of this is wrong, that it's not just about getting the content, it's the right content at the right time to the right person, depending on where they are in their sort of buying journey with you.
Yes.
How are you managing that?
So let's say that the consumer journey is something that we study quite extensively, and the need and the purpose for you to go into the shop may change drastically.
Yeah, I've had glasses since I was 7, so
There you go.
yeah, I can.
So it depends. So if you're going in to buy a sunglass, it's completely different than if you're going in to buy an eyewear, and also the age definitely plays a role into how you're looking into that need. So the sunglasses are usually more seasonal. It's a more seasonal purchase. It's a more impulsive purchase. So a lot of the content is that is put out there is geared as around desire, fashion, and to touch that angle of the consumer. We also make sure that we have placements on celebrities or content creators that match the brand identity and so on. So this is very fashion driven, desire driven. And the seasonality is mainly summertime, especially in more European countries. Here, you find the seasonality a little bit more flattish, or
you need sunglasses all year round.
Exactly. But let's say other markets I cover, you definitely can see different spikes. Whereas eyewear is doesn't have huge seasonality. You have sometimes a bit of spikes related to promotions or back to school, let's say. So there you can target your content related to that. During the COVID period, there was a lot going on related to blue light. I'm sure you've heard about blue light. So these are usually targeted around back to school, back to office time periods. But it is more an always on approach with regards to content.
And how you mentioned COVID there, and I know we've all heard about it for so long now and we're over it, but how did you as a brand manage during the COVID period? Did you find that there was more being done digitally, or what changed for you?
So COVID was quite tough for everyone. As a company, I would say that the big strength was that we were very much already very digitally integrated from a B2B angle. So we already had all kinds of software and content developed in order for our customers, so our B2B clients, to be able to access our eyewear, see the novelties, and place their orders or learn about the content. One of our biggest successes was also related to the Leonardo, so our training platform, where we launched a very strong program around training during that time, because everyone was more at home or had to put in an extra effort to sell. So our Leonardo lead did a really nice program for internal staff, but also for our customers, with a specific journey, really emphasizing our strengths and our brands throughout those trainings. And the content was extremely useful. And we tried to also diversify that the learning path by including not only, let's say, specific eyewear content, but also personal development content and things like that. So I think that was a great success, to be able to feel a bit closer to everyone during that time period.
I think that's so important. And I know there was a lot of people that felt quite distant during that time. So being able to use sort of business to bring people together as well, and to help educate, it's fantastic. So really good initiative there. I think I'm interested to know what initiatives you've got for, as we've said, Christmas biscuits on the table. We're coming into 2023.
Yes.
That was obviously a huge initiative that you've had over COVID, and it sounds like it's going brilliantly. What are your sort of initiatives and trends or New Year's resolutions for 2023?
It's a tough one. Go to the gym. No.
I think I've been mine for 10 years.
So as you probably know, we are in the middle of our business transformation. So we are now EssilorLuxottica. The consolidation of these two big groups came about a few years ago, but it's really just coming into place in the subsidiaries now. So we've had a change in leadership at the global level last year, and now it's starting to trickle down in the region. So it's a journey. It's a big transformation journey that we're on, which has just started. So I think that's our biggest New Year's resolution, is to continue on that journey, using what we've learned so far, because we're merging two giants that operate in very different ways, and how we create that new culture is on our agenda for 2023, and on my agenda as well. So I think that will be the big New Year's resolution.
That is definitely a big job, as mergers are notoriously difficult, bringing them together. And I think you're saying that there's some there from sort of a medical perspective, and then
Correct.
also from a branding perspective. So I guess the cultures and the organizations will be quite different.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, the culture of both companies is what drove each one of their success. So we also need to be very mindful in this merge on how we bring both cultures on board, but also creating a new one. And it's quite interesting. I also cover a very large region, so also here the heritage in each different market is quite different. How do you bring everyone into the table, also from a people's perspective, and making sure that you have people from both heritages that are part of creating this new journey. And it's a journey, and I insist on this word. So it's very exciting. It's a big challenge and a big responsibility. So let's see how it goes. So one of our biggest challenge this year has been to create the new teams of the organizations. So we're at the end of that journey, and all the big projects that are coming in together as well. So I'm looking forward.
So Jessica, you mentioned about the two different cultures and the two different organizations that are quite different coming together. Mm-hmm. That in itself is quite a big task and challenge that you've got. How are you managing that?
That's a tough question as well. Let's say I used the word journey before, and I think it won't be a short one, because we are really merging two cultures that first and foremost are very different. And we also need to be very mindful in doing so without losing, the identity of people who were very so much attached to that previous identity and need to be part of building the new one. It's also extremely difficult in this region because we are obviously a really big one. So we are part of the meta structure. And I wouldn't say that things are so easy when it comes to communication and making sure that everyone is part of that journey. So this year was really a transition year in the sense that we needed to get to know each other and understand each other. And next year we should, I wouldn't say speed things up, but have a different pace in starting to work together and collaborating in creating this new culture. So one of the projects in that sense is a globally led project and is involving people from different parts of the organization, functions, countries, to participate in deciding and shaping what the new culture should look like. So I'm very excited to see what that brings on, and also a lot of work will need to be done internally. Something we've done mindfully is to make sure that in all the different functions you have people that come from both heritages, both at leadership level, but also at all levels of the team. Then it needs to come with a lot of openness and flexibility. And I also see this on myself, because maybe at the beginning I say, the way we are doing things is the way we should be doing things. But that's not necessarily the case. And it has nothing to do with being on one side or the other side. I think it's a natural thing. You're so used to working in a certain dynamic or culture that it takes a lot of internal acknowledgement that you need to pause and try to listen. And so I think really listening and communication is key, coupled with the fact that you need to move on from that. So how long do you listen and how long do you keep an open ear, and balancing that with taking action to make changes to walk towards a new future, let's say.
I think that's a really important point there, because I mean, even going back and looking at the sort of psychology behind people and what people are like, there's very much we've come from tribes. We've all come from different tribes, and there's that sort of tribe. I belong to, in your case, Essilor. I belong to Luxottica, and
yes.
You lose almost a sense of identity when you're bringing a new business. So the way that you're approaching that, with having people from both sides working together, asking people what they liked about the cultures and what they want the new culture to be, is a really good way of actually bringing the two together. I think from my side, the other thing I see for you is you've got a challenging region. We've got, even if we only take the UAE, there are so many different nationalities, different languages, different heritages of people on top of the cultural aspect that you've got to bring together. That must be a challenge as well. And I guess it's one that not all of your counterparts are facing in their regions. So how are you considering that?
So it is definitely a challenge, and I wouldn't say that we're there yet. We're building it. So one of the more structural ways that we've decided to approach this region is to not have an extremely centralized team. So the central, let's say, team for the Meta region is sitting in Dubai, but we decided for the moment to still reinforce the local teams of the main hubs to ensure that the responsibility and the knowledge is preserved in the different regions, because we're also so geographically distant, without adding the cultural differences. So that's the first thing that we're building now. So teams, it's a very matrix organization. So to make sure that we consider all the different aspects of the region. And this was not the original, let's say, idea, but it came through listening and understanding. So that's one way we're going about it. And for next year, the idea is really to kick off with these teams. So I haven't really started the integrated journey, and I'm really looking forward to working on that next year. With hopefully a bit of more physical engagement, just to get things starting. and learning about the different sides of the business, because we definitely see a lot of synergies and opportunities in working together. I also I'm encouraging myself and everyone to go in it with a positive attitude, or let's say an open mind, because not everything is going to stay in the same way that it was before. So it's normal that a new baby is born, and we have to take what's best from mom and dad and try to and try to make the best out of it.
I think it gives you an opportunity as well, though, to, as you say, take the best out of the two different organizations, and they'll come together with some super organization that would be swimming in the Olympics if it was a person or something like that. So I think that's a really interesting way of doing it. And I love what you said there around the decentralization of the meta region. So I think everyone knows I've been working in this region for probably 3 or 4 years now, but actually only living here for half of that. And I think that one of the things I've noticed is that physical sort of relationships, actually meeting people and having those interactions face to face. And again, coming outside of COVID, it makes it more possible. But I think here, from what I've seen, it has gone much more back to how it was before. There's less of the hybrid working. There's much more of the face-to-face interactions. So the approach you're taking there is quite an interesting one and quite unique for a lot of global organizations. That sounds like it was more of a conscious decision. And did you research into that, or did you just know that was what was needed here?
Let's say it was an open discussion, led also by my manager, because we had different opinions also. At the beginning, I was also thinking more of a central approach, mainly because in order to have more control, I think this is also a natural feeling to understand what is going on, and we had a lot of discussions with regards to that. I don't know what is the right approach, but I think for the beginning in this transition period, I think it's important that we do have this hybrid model, and then we will see how things go. And to what you said, I mean, you've lived in these markets, no? So I think you've lived in Turkey and in South Africa.
I spent a lot of time in South Africa, so 50-50 there, and then Bahrain, and now here.
So definitely, you know that the it's really important to take into consideration the local dynamics, and the team in South Africa, for example, is always very much reminding us, but we're so far away, or we're so different. Things work differently, or even seasonality is the opposite. So I think it's quite important to keep that local relevance and people on the territory to manage these type of situations and dynamics. And another thing that's also very important, especially from the medical side of things or production side of things, there's a lot of ingrained knowledge with people that have been working for years in those countries and territories. So it's really important that they feel part of the new organization, and that's not something that's very easy.
No, I think it's very difficult, going back the tribe mentality, to abandon one and start a new one, even if it's the coming together of them. So it's a natural learning path, I guess, around what they need to do and how to form that. You've talked a lot about sort of learning and education and the leadership around that. As a leader, what are you doing to manage that cultural change, or to help the education during this process?
So at the office, I'm quite a fan of our Leonardo team and our Leonardo tools. So I really encourage people to educate themselves and to be part of different meetings that are not necessarily strictly related to their area of expertise or function, especially during this moment in time. Maybe in different occasions it's not necessarily, but in this moment in time it's quite important to be part of different moments. And then offline, I'm quite passionate about education in general. So in the last few years, I've been quite involved with my former university. So I went to a university in Milan called Università Bocconi, and I'm part of their mentorship program. which is quite fun. So it's a program by which you mentor fresh grads or people who are in their final years of university. They have their own not issues, but they have their concerns of going into the working world and what that brings, or also being part of university lectures and education in general. So I try in my free time to be involved with universities and an educational journey of yeah.
That's fantastic. I'm surprised you have any free time, but really it's definitely valuable to have somebody of your experience and the different nationalities that you've worked with, the different places you've lived and worked with to go and provide that education and support people who are learning about it, sort of the theory behind actually seeing the practice. So that's really interesting.
Yes, exactly. I think that's really it. I really felt the value when I was in university to have concrete examples or seeing people in the workforce. It was inspiring, but are also more tangible. So. So I like to be a part of that, and there are different ways that I've done that. Either it's a straightforward lecture, this is the company, this is what we do, this is how we do it. And recently a friend of mine contacted me in order to be part of a more workshop type of course, so to give a task to these students and have them work on a group project. So that was also fun. And I'm not that old, but let's say that it still gives you a fresh perspective by seeing students coming in and challenging you and bringing new questions or thoughts to the table. So I hope to be doing this in the future as well, and it's good to start.
I think mentorship is such an important thing to do, and I think it's great that you are doing that. From a company perspective, do you have mentor programs within the company, or how are you encouraging skills and development of your sort of staff that are coming up through those?
So there are a few mentorship programs. So there are some for, let's say, young talents, and each region can pick a talent to be part of that program. I'm now going to mentor a group of, it's more of a work, it's more of a task at the same time, sort of mentoring. So there are different programs that are globally led. But I also think it's important that even if there isn't any formal program in your company, that you kind of take things into your own hand. When I started in Luxottica in the Middle East, we were 20 people, so there wasn't any formal program or HR structure with regards to things like that. Now we are in the region more than 2,000, so things are a bit different. But I think that no matter where you're working or how you're starting, that it's important that you find someone that can help you. And I definitely think that throughout my career, I wouldn't be where I am today if it weren't for specific mentors who happen to also be my managers in that case. It doesn't always have to be like that, but this was my case. And I can definitely recommend anyone that if you feel like you need to reach out to someone for advice or that extra push or a different perspective in or outside the office, that it can definitely help you in your career.
And you said there that you've had a lot of help from mentor managers. What traits or attributes did they bring to you that helped you to have that push that you needed? What did they do for that?
So I think the first thing that they did is transmit trust. Trust in yourself, and that makes you trust yourself. So I don't know if that makes sense. Especially when you're just starting off and you don't know where to look or where to start, and then just go. Go for it. Even if you make a mistake, I'm there for you. So that's why in my case, it was a mentor-manager kind of situation that really helped me and to feel confident in what I was doing. Also, someone that can put you in check, no?
We all need that.
Yeah, you need that. Saying, hey, that wasn't really good, or you could have done it that way, or you could have said it in that way. My manager now has been my biggest mentor, and mainly focusing on soft skills. So I'm quite I can be quite blunt, or I can have my emotions not in check. And really, this has been the work that I've been working on myself in that sense. Doesn't always work, but it's really important that someone tells it to you, because then you really understand how you could have said it differently, or how you sound in a more direct way. So this balance is quite useful, and then some just practical tips or information, or being part of. And I said that before, being part of meetings or situations that you wouldn't be in naturally. I think this has really accelerated my learning curve. Being curious, not only about your pot, but also the pots of others, especially if you're interested in more managerial type roles. It's really important to know how people think and how they're doing their job, and how can you be part of the overall equation. And you can't do that if you're just, looking at your side of things. So, yeah.
So be curious, put your hand up to take on extra responsibilities.
Yeah.
And any other tips that you'd give to aspiring leaders out there?
I would definitely say that try to get a mentor, or get external if you're not comfortable in asking someone formally to be your mentor. Just asking for advice, being vulnerable in receiving that advice is definitely something that I would recommend. I would also recommend to be curious, because you might find out that maybe you're working at X function or X company, and maybe you suddenly find out that you're more interested or inclined towards something else, especially at the beginning of your career. So I don't know, they say the same about kids, right? Put them in different sports before you finally pick one, right? And then as you progress, try to really hone in your soft skills, because that will make the difference between you and another leader, and decide what kind of person and leader you want to be. That makes a difference.
Yeah, I think that's so important. It's so easy to think that doing your job well is enough, but I think you're right there with the soft skills and looking at what else you can do outside of that and how your job fits into the wider organization. That's what's going to help you progress and set you apart from other people as well,
yes,
I guess.
100%. I mean, it's sometimes sad to think that, like you're in school. If you work hard, you get a good grade and you're going to pass. But that doesn't happen in the real world. So it's really important that you create your network, that you enlarge your circle and your skill set to beyond your hard skills, so to say. Then if you're working in a specific field where you just need to be doing X, that's different. But if you need to manage people or lead people, you need to have that transversality. And does that say that correctly?
It makes
you need
sense,
to be transversal, and to really work on your soft skills. And it's not easy. You might find yourself doing a lot of introspection, and you might say, "Oh, I could have said that, could have done that, could have said that, could have done that." But in the end, it's what makes you a better person, no?
Yeah, I think we always say it starts with yourself. So compete against yourself. Look at what you could have done better, and learn from that, and then go forward. I think it's hard to do, but it's definitely one of the most valuable things I think that any individual can do. Actually, is learn how they can do things better themselves, how they can self-improve.
Yep.
If we were, and I hope we are actually, if we were sat back here this time next year, so just coming into 2024, what are you hoping that you can say you've done? Because obviously 2022 is huge for you. What do you hope to have achieved during this year, looking back?
Oh, okay. Well, first of all, I really hope that the people in the organization feel part of EssilorLuxottica. So, and I hope that we will succeed in bringing that new culture and ways of working and a consensus in the way going forward, even though it probably will take many years. We also have very challenged budgeting growths as usual, but I think our region in particular, we are a big engine for growth, and we've been seeing that together we can do much better. So I'm really looking forward to pushing the lenses and instruments agenda in our region, We are used to selling brands, so it will be a nice challenge also to work on that from a medical angle.
Excellent. I think some of the brand work's been phenomenal. I know the recent event that you did in Saudi with the stage was incredible.
Yes.
So congratulations on
Thank
that,
you.
firstly. Are you looking to, tell me about how you're going to do something like that with the lenses.
Okay. Well, we had the event with RayBan at Soundstorm, in Riyadh. This was a really amazing project that was led by our RayBan business brand manager. So this was a long-term process. So the main objective was to be closer to our end consumer and to bring localized campaigns to life. So this was part of a 360 activity, including local product and a local testimonial. And we've been doing that across the portfolio to really bridge the gap between, let's say, the RayBan, the international brand, and the local consumer. I really hope that we will also be able to do something like that on the lenses side of things. But more than anything, we have really big novelties and lenses innovations that are coming in next year. They still haven't been announced, so I
was just about to ask you that. I need some new lenses. I need some new glasses, but I was going to ask you.
There you go.
I had the eye test
pair
the other week, and definitely, unfortunately, they've got worse.
Oh.
So definitely need some new ones, but I might wait then and see what the new lens is.
Exactly. So I look forward to bringing a new innovation to the market, and hopefully make a big bang with that as well.
Oh, do we know when we can expect some announcement?
Yes. So I think there will be an announcement at the Mido Fair, which is the let's say the industry fair that's held in Milan in beginning of February. So there will be a bit of teasing then, and we should be bringing it to the region in end Q3, beginning Q4.
Watch this space then. Okay, this is going to be a big year.
Yeah.
Excellent. I'm really excited for that. I think it's about time there was some innovation. And as you said right at the beginning, I have never gone into an optician's and said, these are the lenses I want. Mm-hmm. Very much done with the brand side. These are the brand of the frames I want. This is what I want them to look like. But the lenses was always just an afterthought. So excited to be seeing these changes in the market. I think it's definitely needed because as a consumer, I'm quite uneducated around what the difference of the lenses are. Mm-hmm. So that is something very exciting coming. I think we were talking about the challenges with budgeting as well. You mentioned them there. We hear a lot in the market at the moment around the recession, which is likely to come at the beginning of next year. How are you feeling as a marketer about that? Because that's going to make things a little bit more challenging, I guess.
No, it's definitely more challenging. And in general, in the past few years, we have been seeing costs rising. So it is putting strain on all industries. So for sure, as a marketer, we need to work within our budgets and try to do the best with what we have. And digital, as you've mentioned before, is definitely playing a very important role in that sense. We can invest smarter and target in a more specific way, the ways that we are doing today. Another thing that we're working really carefully as well is making sure that we target our investments in the right time, and perhaps instead of having 2 or 3 moments during the year, really focusing on one big bang activity to make more noise, and we feel it's more and more impactful. So these are some of the changes that we're doing.
Oh, so it's more around being, I guess, smarter or more efficient with your budget, making sure the decisions you make and the different activities you do have the results that you're looking for.
Yeah, that is one side of thing. Another side of things, and this is where we work very closely with our global office. We are, bringing in a big part of the growth for our company, and we believe that there's still a lot of untapped opportunity. So with that comes also additional investments and support from the group. So let's say it's an in-between, and we need to juggle that.
I think we certainly saw that from a software and a technology perspective in 2008, which was the last sort of significant recession, was around making those smarter investments, as you say there. It's not stopping them completely, but it's looking at where you are going to invest as a global brand, how you can take that and use it locally and sort of what you can get as a return for that. So I think it's good to see that the thought's still there.
Yeah.
We've had a number of organisations that we work with actually say that this is an opportunity for them to sort of separate themselves from the market. Are you seeing it in the same way?
What do you mean in terms of separates?
Stand out. So
Okay.
you can make those changes whilst in this position to
Yes.
benefit.
Yes, no, 100%. And what we're also trying to do is be mindful of people's emotions and where they're at right now, because what we've also seen is we've pushed a lot the digital agenda, which has been amazing for us, but we also see that there's a need to connect physically. So today, another topic on our agenda is, do we bring back certain events that we used to do that had that physical engagement? And obviously that means more investments if there's travel involved, etc. So we also need to understand today what are the activities that that can make the difference, that can make us stand out in this context.
I think that's a really important point, actually. We've spoken a lot and heard a lot about the sort of phygital, the join between physical and digital and how that can work together. From what we're seeing and what the trends and the analysis have said, it's about the journey that is consistent across both the physical and the digital domains. Is that something that you're considering?
Yes, 100%. It is the OmniChannel approach. It is the phygital approach. So that all of these buzzwords that that we're hearing are true and are definitely part of the mix when we're thinking about our marketing and sales strategies.
I think it's definitely something worth considering, and it sounds like you're doing that, so that's brilliant. I think it's gonna help you in the next year as well. When we're considering buzzwords, and is there anything else? I mean, we hear about augmented reality, artificial intelligence. Well, what's going on for yourselves around other buzzwords in the market?
Okay, so if we stay on the, let's say, digital and realm, what I love about our group is really the investment that has been happening in the last few years with regards to virtual reality, or mixing both worlds. So I'll give you a B2B and maybe a B2C example from the eyewear side. So we've developed quite a while ago a way to be able to try your eyewear on virtually. And it has been integrated in all our B2B tools. So when our customer is perhaps buying a new pair of frames and the frame isn't there physically, or the color they're asking for isn't there, they can always access it and try it on virtually in the tools that we use. And we've slowly integrated these also in the B2C experience. So in some of our partner store here, you can also have access to this virtual mirror, we call it, which is really amazing, because this means that a retailer doesn't need to stock up with huge inventories of maybe something that's a bit more eccentric or a slower moving item. It also allows from a selling perspective for you to be more efficient in ordering sample sets and things like that. And then maybe another one from a B2C angle, you've maybe heard about RayBan Stories. So RayBan Stories has been launched, it's been a year now, I think, by which we integrated inside a few of RayBan's iconic models, a camera, a phone, and a mic. So you can really have that immersive experience, and it's been done in collaboration with Meta. So everything that you post can be done seamlessly on your Facebook apps or Instagram apps. It's quite cool. So you can take your phone call or record while you have your frames on. So it's a nice way of mixing both worlds and both emotions, and being still present in the moment, no?
That's a great way, because you see so many people with their heads down looking at their phones. If they can do that without actually looking anywhere and just have it in their lenses, that's amazing. Yeah. Have you managed to try it yet?
I've tried it. It's not available in our markets yet, but I've tried it during one of our fairs. It's really amazing. You'd be surprised how seamless the experience is, and the sound quality. It's really amazing, and I'm sure there will be new updates with regards to RayBan Stories very soon.
I think my husband would have absolutely loved those in his Christmas stocking. Unfortunately, not here yet. Maybe next year. Matt, hope you're not watching. He's especially if he's can take his calls with his sunglasses on while driving the car. Sounds like a dream.
Yeah.
And also, it's a bit more private than actually having it over your hands-free or something.
Yes.
So, that's a really interesting one. So you're doing lots around the buzzword and the technology space.
Yes.
Then. Are you seeing anything in the physical space around the buzzwords or transformative experiences?
I'm definitely seeing it. So, as I was mentioning before, the virtual try-on is something that we're going to be launching also in the region. We've just started, and it will also be integrated with more personalization experiences. So we have a program by which you can customize your frame to your liking. So it's quite nice.
Yeah.
And I think that customization and personalization is something that we've seen a lot in the region and in luxury and also in lifestyle brands. So I'm happy to also be bringing that to the table.
That's really interesting you say that. We've done some research and we found that personalization and personalizing experiences is not only what the customers expect. So there was a study done, I can't remember who it was, but I'm sure Jamila can post it next to it, around how 80% of brands think they're delivering really good experiences and yet only 8% of customers agree. So trying to find out what the missing link was, and it was exactly that. It was around the personalization of those experiences. So I think that's really important that you're looking at personalizing and how you can do that. We've seen it's not only good for customers and consumers and what they expect, but also for businesses as well. It impacts everything from the average order value, the customer retention, the a lifetime value of a customer, and also the employees as well. And we spent a bit of time delving into this and understanding why personalized experience for your customer and your consumers makes your employees happy. Have you noticed any benefits since you started looking at personalization?
Definitely. So I would say that personalization is something that means something different for everybody. So how do you also roll that out is really important. As I'm part of the wholesale organization, so this also means really working with our partners and understanding what a personalized experience means for them and how it fits also with their brand identity and how to deliver it to the consumer. That can also mean something very different to everyone. It helps also that we have a lot of brands, and so already having the personalized experience tailored to the brand that you love makes it a little bit easier. But then how do you bring it to the table makes a difference. And then with employees, it also, especially in the region where you're taking into consideration the culture and the heritage, it definitely makes people more loyal to the brand. They feel that they're being listened to and that we're not just copy-pasting what is going on abroad. And I think it's the same way when you work with people. You don't deal with everyone in the same way, right? Everyone has their wishes and their wants and their motivations. So we all personalize our experiences with everybody. So I think it's important that we also do that with the product that we deliver. And with the lenses, it just to tie it back, it's really what we do. So we have the option of also delivering personalized lenses that also fit the way that your posture, the way that you are sitting, standing, behaving, the way that you move, the way that you're looking at. So I think that personalized experience can also be beneficial from a medical standpoint.
I think so too. I think especially something as crucial as vision. I mean, I had laser surgery, not that you'd know it because I'm wearing glasses today, about 10 years ago probably now. And it made such a difference. Being able to wake up and see completely was amazing, but it fades and it wears off. So having the lenses that are on your face, whether they're contact lenses or glasses lenses, impacting your vision is so important. And as you said, everyone stands different. The face shape is different. To find them that fit is completely impacting of what your life is. So it's fantastic to see that it's doing that, because it's not something. They're always there and they're so important, but you don't really consider that as a consumer.
And personalization in that sense doesn't necessarily mean your name on the product, you know what I mean? It can go beyond that.
That's really interesting to hear. I think there's a lot that you've got going on then at the moment, then looking at the personalization, looking at bringing together the two different brands and the two different organizations, the cultures, the people, the changes that you're having across the business, as well as sort of the macroeconomic changes of the environment at the moment.
Yes.
You've got a busy 2023 coming up.
100%.
Thank you so much for taking the time and coming to talk to us about it today. And hopefully we'll have you back here next year talking about what an amazing success it's been.
Why not?